before we begin to start coding, let's have a look at what's involved with the whole idea of web browsers and web pages. So just to begin with, you'll hear the terms client side and server side as we go through this course. So let's have a look at what those are. So here's our laptop, and that's known as the client machine. Okay, so we are client side when we are looking, when the user is looking at their device. Here are some servers. This is a data center, quite a lot of servers going there, but a server could also be just a desktop machine that's sitting somewhere hosting a web page. So the server hosts the pages. It contains the pages that it's going to send to the client, which is the laptop. Now, all of these computers, the servers and the clients' computers as well, are all part of the internet. And the internet is the interconnected network of machines worldwide. The World Wide Web is sort of the information that sits on that. So there's a bit of a difference between the two. So when we talk about the web, we're talking about that information. So what happens when you're looking for a web page, a particular web page? You type in the address of the web page, which is known as the URL, Universal Resource Locator, and it sends a request to the server, and the server then gets that data and sends it back to the client machine. So that's all there is to that. Of course, it's a bit more complicated behind the scenes, but for now, this is the principle you need to know. When we look at a web page, we can actually see it in a number of different ways. So we can see how it looks on the World Wide Web when a browser has interpreted it. So we get the full thing. We get the pictures and we get the text and we get all the headings and the colours and all things like that. But we can also look at a web page in its very basic form, which is the source code. That's the plain text form, and that's where we see all the formatting that makes it into that web page. I'd like to show you an example of this. Here we have the University of London web page for Goldsmiths. You'll see this coming up quite a bit when I'm demonstrating things. You can see here it has logos, it has headings, it has different sections, it has some icons, it has an image, it has lists down the side of navigation. So it's sort of the web page that we're used to when we're looking online. Now, the other way of looking at that is to see the source code of it, and we can do that if we go to View in Chrome, Developer, and View Source. We see the behind the scenes part of that web page. We see the HTML and the other aspects that tell the browser how to display it. And this is an example of that. So all of this code that you see when you look at the code of a web page, all of this builds that page that we've just looked at. On this course, we're going to take a three-part approach to web development. So we're going to show you how you display content on a web page, how you mark it up and get it onto the page. We're going to show you how to make that content look good. And we're going to show you how to make that content interactive. And that'll be throughout the course when we're dealing with client-side stuff. Just to go a little deeper into that. So imagine that this blue box here holds all of our web page, all the components necessary to display the web page. We have the HTML, and that's the page structure. We'll get onto that in much more detail next time. So the HTML is the structure of the page, and it looks a bit like this. You can see some tags here in their angular brackets. You'll get very used to those in no time. And then we have what's known as CSS. And CSS is what defines the appearance of a page. So we'll see things here like the margins, the paddings, the line height, the white space, what the backgrounds are. Then we have JavaScript. This is an example of some JavaScript. And that's what adds the interactivity. That's the programming part of the web page. And without it, we just have a very static page. Now, when we're teaching this, we will teach you HTML5, which is the current version of HTML. We will also teach you CSS3, which is the current standard of CSS. And we'll be using the most up-to-date JavaScript. And as well as learning from scratch, we're also going to be using things like Bootstrap, which allow you to do this very quickly and simply once you know what's going on behind the scenes. So all of these things together display as a web page on our browser.